Harold Miner's name evokes a wave of nostalgia for basketball fans who grew up in the late 1980s and early 1990s. For a brief, electrifying period, he was one of the most talked about young athletes in America, a player so explosive, so graceful, and so spectacular in the air that he drew comparisons to the greatest icon the sport had ever seen. Before he ever played a minute of college basketball, and long before the N.B.A. became obsessed with the next phenom, Harold Miner was already being labeled something almost impossibly heavy to carry, the next Michael Jordan. His nickname, Baby Jordan, stuck to him throughout his career. It brought him fame, immense pressure, and ultimately became a shadow he was never able to step out of. Yet Harold Miner's story is far more complex, and far more human, than a simple tale of unmet expectations. It is a story of dazzling talent, early brilliance, physical setbacks, personal growth, and quiet redemption. To understand that story fully, one must begin where it all started, the tough neighborhoods of Southern California, where a young Miner first learned that he could fly. Harold David Miner was born on May 5, 1971, in Inglewood, California, a city known both for its challenges and for its deep basketball culture. Growing up just a few miles from the Old Forum, home of the Los Angeles Lakers, Miner was surrounded by the energy of the Showtime era. Kids in his neighborhood dreamed of becoming Magic Johnson, James Worthy, or Byron Scott. But Miner gravitated towards something different. By his early teens, he was already obsessed with flight, with acrobatics, and with the art of dunking. Basketball quickly became his refuge and his identity. But Miner's childhood was not easy. Family challenges and limited resources shaped his early years, and his path to the court was not always smooth. Still, he found structure and purpose through basketball, pouring countless hours into refining his footwork, athleticism, and finishing ability. Even as a young teen, his explosiveness was undeniable. Coaches and local scouts began whispering that he might be something special. By the time he entered high school, those whispers had turned into a loud buzz. Harold Miner attended Inglewood High School, one of the most competitive basketball programs in Southern California. Already built with a strong frame and shocking leaping ability, Miner became a local celebrity by his junior year. His dunks were so ferocious and so acrobatic that newspapers began sending photographers simply to catch a single highlight. At Inglewood, Miner averaged more than 27 points per game during his peak seasons. He led his team deep into the California state playoffs and earned a reputation as one of the best high school players in the entire country. The Los Angeles Times routinely featured him, calling him one of the most dominant prep scorers in California history. His ability to score effortlessly from the perimeter, finish with power at the rim, and elevate above defenders made him a rare talent. He was named a Parade All-American, a McDonald's All-American, and was widely seen as a top 5 recruit nationally. UCLA wanted him. Duke wanted him. North Carolina wanted him. Practically every major college basketball powerhouse wanted him. But Miner had a different dream. He wanted to stay close to home. He wanted to play in the same area where he had grown up and dominated. And so he chose the University of Southern California. When Harold Miner arrived at U.S.C. in 1989, the program was not considered a basketball powerhouse. Football was the university's signature sport. But Miner changed that almost overnight. From his first practice, his dunking ability, scoring instincts, and swagger electrified the team. Fans flocked to see him play, and U.S.C. games began selling out regularly, something unheard of at the time. Miner was an instant sensation. Miner burst onto the national scene by averaging 20.6 points per game as a freshman, an astonishing feat in the Pac-10 conference, which featured seasoned stars and several elite programs. His combination of strength, finesse, and vertical explosiveness made him nearly impossible to guard. Opposing coaches called him the most athletic guard they had ever seen. Sports Illustrated began running features on him. ESPN clips of his dunks went viral long before social media existed. It didn't take long for the nickname, Baby Jordan, to appear in print, and once it did, it spread nationwide. As a sophomore, Minor improved dramatically, averaging 26.3 points per game. He became one of the most efficient scorers in the country, a devastating finisher in transition, and a player capable of taking over games at will. U.S.C. basketball had never experienced anything like it. Minor led the Trojans to national relevance and made them the must-watch team in the Pac-10. The crowds grew. The expectations grew. The N.B.A. scouts grew more intrigued by the day. And the Michael Jordan comparisons grew louder. Minor's rookie season with the Miami Heat, 1992-93, showed flashes of the talent that had made him a college legend. He averaged 10.3 points per game in limited minutes and quickly gained national attention by winning the 1993 N.B.A. Slam Dunk Contest. His windmills, tomahawks, and aerial creativity were breathtaking. He dunked with the same power and grace he had shown at U.S.C. But even early on, problems began to appear. Minor struggled with knee issues almost immediately. His explosive style of play put constant strain on his joints, and the N.B.A. schedule, far more demanding than college, took a toll. After his rookie year, he underwent knee surgery, missing significant time and losing some of the vertical explosiveness that had defined his game. At U.S.C., Minor had been the go-to scorer with the offense built around him. In Miami, he was often asked to play off the ball, adapt his game, and fit into a more structured, defensive-oriented system under coach Kevin Lowery. Minor was not yet a polished shooter or defender, and without consistent minutes, he struggled to find rhythm. This contributed to a perception, fair or not, that he wasn't living up to expectations. Throughout his Heat tenure, Minor continued to be haunted by comparisons to Michael Jordan. Every missed shot, every turnover, every injury was magnified. He was not just being evaluated as Harold Minor, he was being evaluated as the player who was supposed to be the next Michael Jordan. It was a monumental burden for a young player still trying to establish himself. Minor later admitted that the nickname, though flattering, had become suffocating. Fans and analysts expected nightly miracles. Anything less felt like failure. In 1995, Minor reminded the world of his elite athleticism by winning the N.B.A. Slam Dunk Contest for the second time. This made him one of only a handful of players in N.B.A. history to win multiple dunk contests. His victory solidified him as one of the greatest dunkers of the era and gave fans a glimpse of what he might have become if injuries had not interfered. But ultimately, dunk contests are not what define N.B.A. careers. And Minor's career as a complete player was stalled. After 3 seasons in Miami, Minor was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers ahead of the 1995-96 season. Cleveland hoped that a change of scenery might help Minor rediscover his form. But the injuries had already taken their toll. Minor appeared in only 19 games for the Cavaliers while battling lingering knee issues, conditioning problems, and inconsistent minutes. He struggled to integrate into Cleveland's structured offense, and his role diminished quickly. By the end of the season, the Cavaliers decided to move on. Minor, still only in his mid-20s, was out of the N.B.A. sooner than anyone expected. At just 25 years old, Harold Minor walked away from professional basketball. His retirement shocked many fans and analysts who believed he still had time to resurrect his career. But Minor had reached a breaking point. The constant injuries, the pressure of expectations, and the joyless grind of trying to live up to Baby Jordan had drained him. Minor chose peace over fame. He disappeared almost entirely from the public eye for nearly a decade, maintaining a private life that contrasted sharply with the media frenzy that had surrounded his early career. Though he largely avoided the spotlight, Minor eventually opened up about his post-N.B.A. life. He settled in Las Vegas and focused on family, business interests, and personal health. Far from the bright lights of college arenas and N.B.A. stadiums, Minor found a sense of balance that had eluded him as a young star. When he finally re-emerged publicly in the mid-2000s, he was greeted warmly by U.S.C. fans and basketball historians who had never forgotten his stunning college career. Minor has often spoken about being grateful for what basketball gave him, even if his N.B.A. career did not unfold as many predicted. He earned a college degree, provided for his family, and developed an identity beyond the sport. Harold Miner's legacy is more complicated than that of a typical basketball prodigy. He was a spectacular athletic marvel, a college superstar, a two-time N.B.A. slam dunk contest champion, and a player whose potential seemed limitless. Yet he is also remembered for what he did not become, the next Michael Jordan, the superstar many hoped he would be. But perhaps that comparison was unfair from the start. Miner's true legacy lies not in the shadow of Jordan, but in the brilliance he displayed in high school and college. Few players have ever dominated the Southern California prep scene the way he did. Few players in U.S.C. history have electrified crowds the way he did. And few players in the early 90s captured the imagination of fans the way he did. Though his N.B.A. career was shorter and more injury-plagued than anyone hoped, Harold Miner remains one of the most iconic college basketball players of his generation and one of the greatest pure dunkers the sport has ever seen. Today, fans remember him not for what he failed to become, but for the breathtaking moments he gave them, the windmills, the tomahawks, the soaring leaps, and the flashes of raw brilliance that once made him the most exciting young player in America. In the end, Harold Miner's story is a reminder that talent is only part of the journey. Circumstances, health, timing, expectations, and personal choices all play a role in shaping a career. And sometimes, stepping away from the spotlight is the bravest choice an athlete can make. Harold Miner may not have become the next Michael Jordan, but he will forever be Baby Jordan, a player who flew high, inspired millions, and left a lasting mark on the sport he loved.